really encourages people to create wealth through property and financial freedom. I think that's the best thing. I think property is so good for that, of course, you know, and that's you guys talk about that all the time.
Yeah.
You know, I think if you do the right thing as a rule of life, then it comes back to you, and people respect that, and you have those long-term friendships.
That's a great point, yeah. Because there's a few relationships there. You're dealing first of all with the landlord who, you know, is coming to you or referred to you. That makes sense. That's a no-brainer for them. You can really solve 1,000 problems for them.
They get continual rental income right up to the date of completion.
Exactly. You know, no void, no mad refurb plans, etc. You know, and it drags on for months and months to get it, you know, nice to be on the market. That makes perfect sense. The next one that could have some trickiness in it is the letting. Hello and welcome to This Week in Property. I'm your host Richard Swan. Now, if you are watching us just now, you're on the YouTube channel, website, etc. Fantastic. Make sure, as the kids tell you, subscribe and ring that bell. I don't even know what that means anymore with these YouTubers. But do that and you're going to be notified of all the new shows coming out. Now, if you're listening, maybe you've got the podcast player on in the car. That's perfect, that's fantastic. When it's safe to do so, same again. Just make sure you subscribe and you will be kept up to date with all of these fantastic conversations. And we've got a fantastic conversation today. It's a company, a venture, an idea that's called Portolio. It has a tagline of the landlord's estate agent, and we're going to really understand exactly what that's all about and what they can do and how they can help you. But first up, let's meet one of the men behind the scenes, Chris Wood. Good morning, sir.
Morning.
You all good?
Very good. Yeah,
I'm looking forward to this. Yes, definitely. Now, we bumped into each other at the Scottish Letting Day.
That's right.
Through in Edinburgh,
in November, which
was fantastic. Really busy, loads of guests there. Did you enjoy that experience, first of all? I mean, you've been a couple of times, haven't you?
That was our second time.
Yeah.
It's a great day. It's a great day. It's a real no-brainer for us because we're the landlord's estate agent, and
Scottish Letting Day.
It's a day full. It used to be called the National Landlord Day, of course. So it sounded even more like a good fit, but it still is. We got to speak to lots of landlords and letting agents as well, and they're a good partner of ours as well. We work with a lot of letting agents.
Brilliant.
And property investors, which are landlords, you know, they're the same kind of people really, and so lots of great conversations, and it's just exactly where we should be, so it was great.
Brilliant. First time for us, we enjoyed it, loads of new people obviously, and loads of different companies like yourselves, which is fantastic. But the Chris Wood, this man, this mystery behind. What's the story? How did you get here? We're going to have a cracking chat back and forth about everything about Portolio, the ins and outs, the services, etc. That's great. But how did you get to this point? You know, what's the story, the career? You've had a few wee twists and turns and tried different things, haven't you, over the time?
Yeah, a few things. He's a complicated man, Chris Wood.
Don't trust him.
Oh my goodness! Don't get him started. It's about 16 or 17 years thereabouts I've been working in property in
itself.
Scottish property, and for landlords or in the buy-to-let, you know, part of property. So it's quite a long time. Yeah. You know, I kind of fell into it like a lot of people fall into what they're doing. You go back to roughly 2002, 2003.
Right.
I was working for a big company, and I wasn't a good fit there, and decided to look at property and bought a property to renovate, which actually I kind of forget I did that, and it was a one-off thing.
But why did you do that? Were you kind of?
I just was looking for some kind of solution that I cut my hours back in that company, and then sort of ended up just thought I'd buy a flat that needed some work and did it up.
Fantastic.
And it took, I can't remember exactly how long it took, maybe 9 or 10 months. But anyway, I made probably about 50 quid or something.
The classic
I think broadly speaking, if I just bought it and done nothing and then sold it, I would have made the same or more probably, because the market was pretty good. And but it was fine. It was good. It was good taster.
Good experience.
Good fun. But the main thing probably that got me into property was I had one flat that was, not a buy-to-let, it was an accidental landlord situation.
Right.
But I got a letting agent to manage that, and they weren't very good. And I eventually set up my own letting agency. That's the crux of it. But, so that was in 2004. Eventually.
So that was scratching your own itch, that one, at that time, was it?
Yeah, I guess so. But it's a familiar story that people employ somebody to do something for them. They don't think that person's doing a good job and think, I'll do it better, and then do that. And so I started managing flats and houses for pals.
Right.
And then it kind of grew. So it was like managing 6 and then 8 and then got to about 20 odd and then just went full time with that.
Brilliant.
But it was a very slow growth letting agency. The way I ran it was very janitorial, if that means anything to you. It's kind of, we were very good at what we did. We got everything fixed that needed to be fixed, maintaining the properties, reletting the properties, and there was organic growth, but we got to about 140 managed properties in 2013.
That's brilliant.
Which is when I sold it.
Right.
So I started a letting agency from scratch and then sold it in 2013. And we're a good company, well run. We had an office in the south side of Edinburgh, had good staff. It was great, but
so
very challenging.
Why that decision?
Why did I sell?
Yeah.
I actually looked into selling the year before I did sell.
Did you?
But the market changed quite a lot. In fact, basically there was one particular company that were in the acquisition mode, buying letting agencies, and it was just what I was offered was a great price, so I took it.
Right.
But I was the way I ran the business was not one that would lead to longevity, I would say. I played the hero all the time.
Did you?
I was in the office far too early and stayed far too late, trying to do everything.
Yeah.
Again, I had a great team, but I didn't remove myself from the front line enough.
Yeah.
And maybe didn't even want them to take the flak or to deal with the different stuff you'd have to deal with.
I'll do this.
Yeah, I'll do this. I'll play the hero. It's only I can only write that email just that way that it should be written.
That's
and don't worry,
Oh,
I'll speak to that. I know Mr. Smith. I'll speak to John, and I'll take care of that and put that fire out and put that fire out. And I should have trusted
you go home. I'll do this.
Don't you stay pat. Don't. That's
it's not as if you're my employee. My goodness, don't you stay on.
It was crazy. So I wore myself down, I guess. And I actually, what happened was I scunnered myself with property.
Yeah.
So in general property, when I sold, I decided that was me, no more property.
Is that right?
Yeah, which was madness. I think if I'd managed to speak to somebody and taken some advice and just even examined what it was I liked about property and what I liked about my job, then I could have stayed. So I went into retail, opened online retail and actually eventually shops. And I try not to talk about it too much because it's quite. Wasn't a good time. I mean, lost a lot of money.
Right.
But also got married and had a child but lots of challenges and good things but mainly lots of learning.
Was it loads of learning?
Just that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, just really since 2016, early part of 2016, which is when that more or less all finished.
Right.
Came back to property and I've just been on educating myself, reading lots of books. And so you're going to ask me which books and I'll not be able to remember any of them, but honestly I do. And it kind of brought me, I guess, to where I am now, which is a company which I'm extremely proud of, and is the thing I'm going to be doing this, I think, for the rest of my days.
You're going to do it right and properly and have that nice home balance as well.
Maybe.
See.
People talk about work-life balance, but I think that's a thing that exists more for people that aren't as into their work as some people are, if that makes any sense. I mean, I do get the right balance. I should probably tell you a bit more about what I did before Portolio, but basically, I've got a 4-year-old daughter, and I do see her, every day. And maybe it's the odd day, or some evening networking thing, and I'll not see her that particular day.
She's
but
in bed
by and large, and every weekend we're doing stuff, and so we get on great. I think I do have that balance, but you get up.
You've learned some of those lessons anyway. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I didn't have a child at the time, so
no, exactly.
It didn't really matter.
But you knew you weren't kind of living.
Well, I know. I'm also getting older. 45 now, so you kind of you have to kind of get the balance. Otherwise, you'll make yourself ill.
Yes.
And that's happened before. Yeah. So you just listen to your body a bit more and take a rest. And you just understand maybe a bit more about working smarter than busy work.
Yes, correct. Rather than being the busy fool. Yeah,
exactly.
Totally.
I am like, if you look at Busy Fool, there's a picture of
You've
me.
done it. You get a t-shirt. 2008, 2009. Champion.
Yeah, there he is. Yeah. So yeah, lot of lessons learned, and yeah, the balance feels good. I've also got a great business partner now as well.
Yeah, so
Ross, I've always wanted.
Who we met.
Ross MacDonald, who you met.
Yep.
He has maybe a slightly similar story, but one that's much more kind of pragmatic and less eventful, or etc. Which is great, because that's where the way a team can work. I'm probably much more entrepreneurial.
Right.
And Ross is much more kind of safe pair of hands, maybe
you might
want to say.
But that is a nice balance, actually.
Two quite different characters, but good mates as well.
Yeah.
And so he built a company called ClickLet.
Right.
They're a bigger letting agency, and they were bought about 4 years ago now, maybe.
Right.
So the timing was good as well with regards to getting Portolio going, and Ross became more involved as the business started to kind of take off.
Okay.
And we're, as I say, we're a good team, and Ross does the kind of all the day-to-day selling of the properties, but also I try and help where I can with that, and he very much helps me with a lot of the strategic stuff as well, and that's the way we work as a team.
Expanding and so on. Yeah,
exactly.
That's brilliant. And how did you know each other? Was it through the kind of business of property and his ClickLet, or?
Yeah, just being letting agents, two letting agents that actually did talk to each other. So back in those
so
days,
the rumours are true. They don't talk to you. There's a lot of dynamics in the letting world.
They talk to each other more now. They talk since the Let Well training and the licensing that's been required and the other stuff. So they've been kind of not say forced to come together, but they do. I think there's a lot more sort of friendships.
No, there definitely is. And we saw a lot of that actually at the letting day. Bumped into Laura Chapman through in Edinburgh. We've worked with a lot. Mark from Glasgow. There's some loads of fantastic people in the business and doing what they love. They really, because the property world is gigantic. There's people listening in and watching just now who are maybe started or not started, and it's all about land development for them. Or these guys, no, it's about portfolios. I want to build portfolios, and these ones are no, I want to get my hands dirty and do refurbs and stuff. There's loads you can do. Yeah. There's absolutely loads.
That's right. And there's so many different characters as well doing these things.
Yeah, totally.
And again, going back to, if you examine what it is you do for a living, think about what you like about that. And it's actually the people in property that are fantastic. You do come across so many great stories of highs and lows, and it's good.
Which you're always going to get in any business. Business is business.
Yeah,
you're going to get that.
I just find people to be really open.
Yeah.
Willing to talk about it.
That's right. Share those stories. Yeah. Don't just show the kind of glossy Instagram image. What else happened? Actually, that last tenant we had a bit of a disaster, and with this my God, every single time that we do events and stuff for our clients, I will deliberately share the stories I've got about the property in Ayrshire that had a cannabis farm at the back. The tenant who set fire to the kitchen, by going out one day and stuff. You've got to share that, because they've got to know what to face and what to expect, and then more importantly,
how you reacted to it, how did you fix it?
When this comes at me, comes out of left field, how am I going to deal with it? What's my mindset? What's my approach to this? So a big important part of it. Definitely is. Brilliant. When you explained obviously the retail journey, you ended that chapter with loads of lessons and went back to property. You said, why that decision? Did you look back and think, well, I was great at that before, that's my skill?
I was great at that.
Aye. Is that what it was?
Absolutely.
I was awesome.
I was the best.
Some
people say that.
I'm going back to my throne.
I just had still a lot of good contacts and a lot of good friends.
Right.
I think if you do the right thing as a rule of life, then it comes back to you, and people respect that, and you have those long-term friendships.
That's a great point. And they remember.
Yeah.
When you go off and do a different chapter, you travel around the world, or you do a retail business, you do whatever, they still remember, how you were with them, how you treated them, how you made them feel, etc.
Some of them.
No, some of them.
No, I didn't. I know a lot more people now, obviously, but that's sort of the role and part of my job now is to network a lot more than I did with different people. But I had some good friends, and actually, I'm not sure I'd say, I'm embarrassed to say it, but I came back and did things like Legionella risk assessments and I did some EPCs as well. But it was good, and I did them well. And I know that Legionella risk assessments is not a popular thing, but I was just sort of trying to get some of my life back together and sort a few things out.
Sure.
And it was a great way to kind of re-engage with all these people. But that then quite quickly led to me doing property sourcing instead of that,
okay.
which then obviously leads a lot more to what we're doing at Portolio, Portolio. And it was a better fit. I mean, I know landlords well, and I know property investors well, and I knew I was only really in Edinburgh that I was doing the sourcing.
Right.
And Portolio is a whole of Scotland estate agent, so I've really sort of taken it and moved it into a much bigger arena.
Which is fantastic.
It's really more exciting. But I was able to deliver good results for these property investors, and we know that some of the property investors, they were looking for a bargain, some were just looking for a solution that was a fair price, and they were short on time, they were maybe looking on Rightmove and other websites and missing out at closing dates, and they were looking for somebody on the ground who just get them the property so they can build their portfolio, and you know, my time and expertise was worth whatever the fee was.
Fantastic.
And that was good. Good. But I don't know, but probably property sourcing is a lot to do with generating fees, I suppose.
Right.
Like most jobs are, or people's companies are, but I wanted to maybe do something that was a bigger business and not just sort of reliant on me. And I know that you can have a sourcing business as such, but I changed it, turned it on its head. So instead of working for the buyer, it kind of suited me better to work for the landlord.
Right.
So the landlord.
And did you just work that out? Did you fall into that? Did you experiment? June
2000 and whatever, I can't remember, 17 it must have been. I just had the idea in the first thing in the morning.
Is that right?
I just thought, you know, actually, well, I had an idea for Portolio, which is not quite the way it is now. I don't want to overcomplicate it, but I had this idea to the landlords are the people that I should be speaking to,
right?
And that we should, in some way, we should be working for them to sell their property again to the same people, property investors.
Yeah, exactly.
So the tenant stays in, so we sell the property with the sitting tenant.
Yeah.
And then I just went to as a Cafe Nero and just wrote it all. Just wrote it all. So still got that document.
Fantastic. What a story.
June the 13th, I think it was.
Hope you kept that notepad.
It's on Word.
It's on the Word, is it?
Yeah,
so
on the computer, so it's there. And I need to go back and have a look at it. But when we first launched, actually, we launched to be a property portal. So like Rightmove or something, which is a kind of a crazy idea. But it was to speak to letting agents and say, well, you could sell the properties with the tenant still in situ. And I know a lot of letting agents do, and a lot of letting agents have moved into a state agency.
Right,
and that all makes sense. But it was for those that kind of were not sure how to do it or wanted to do it. We were creating a place that they could put the properties on there that would show the EICR due date, the gas safety, all the information. So it was a very much. So it was, instead of putting it on Rightmove or other places, it was a purpose-built property portal just for tenanted property.
Love it.
And we would also coach the letting agent and help them make sure they're compliant, and then get the property on there, and then help, you know, in some way help them find the buyer too. And we would get some kind of fee for that. But not a big fee. And there was a lot of great feedback on it. You know, we made a lot of friends at that period of time. And it was mainly just me leading that. And then, you know, really it's a tough business model. And the feedback was that they liked what we were doing, but they just didn't have the time. They were concentrating, their core focus was just managing the properties and letting. So that makes perfect sense. And so they kind of just said, would you not just be the estate agent? And so as much as, you know, I liked the idea of the property portal, I liked the idea of helping people more. And so if we can help more landlords and also help the letting agents a bit more, then we'll just do that. So we just became the estate agent. So the Landlord's estate agent was born at that time.
That's why it came about. That's fantastic. I love that. Wee pieces, you know, there's a bit of inspiration there of you've had with the morning, and then in the cafe, you've had the prospect of solving problems. You know, you're looking, these people here have got this problem. Actually, I think I know how to deal with that. And then you're kind of going through that journey and experimenting and trying things, and well, we'll do it this way and that. And then the feedback is coming to you. You know, they're loving what they're getting, but could you do such and such? All right, okay. Twist and turn, we pivot there.
Pivot is
absolutely
the word,
brilliant. Yeah, pivot, totally. You know, it's not a complete transformation. You're just, all right, okay, we'll try that. Yeah. And then lo and behold,
we were already
so successful.
We were already, you know, set up for HMRC anti-money laundering. We were already
so you
set
had that
up
in the bag.
to be an estate agent. So we just
Was there anything else that you had to kind of tick a box for that estate agency?
We also got the NAEA qualification.
Right, so that was there as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure we had to, but we felt it was the right thing to do. So just make ourselves as professional as possible, and that's again the thing, is being transparent, professional, presenting tenanted property on the open market in a way that people understand. So you still get a home report. You know, it's, again, we'll show them all the safety certification dates and all the information, and at a later date we can share the tenancy agreement, but that wouldn't be until a bit later.
Right, so that's how you handle
you know,
that
but what we do is we create kind of like a mini legal pack.
Right.
So anybody that's buying a property from us, they know that we'll quickly be able to give them all the safety certs.
Right.
We'll give them to their solicitor.
So
they've got all that ready to go.
That's
and
fantastic.
if we sold the property without all that safety certification, then in actual fact we would be getting the new owner into trouble, because from day one there's a tenant in there, and they're now the owners, they're the landlord, but they've not got the safety cert. So quite often we will meet a landlord who's thinking of selling their tenanted property, and you know, we'll have the conversation with them. They like what we're saying, and we can help them. But we'll need to know what safety certs they've got, and they might not have one or two of them.
Right, so maybe some gaps to fill.
Little gaps, we help them fill those gaps.
Great.
You know, we're never going to manage property again. We'll never be letting agents, but obviously, like, we really know it. We really understand it, so we'll maybe hook them up with like electricians in that area.
Right. So you'll make sure it's done first.
You know, that's mainly if they're self-managed. Obviously, if they're managed by a letting agent already, then they have all that stuff, and it's cool.
Yeah.
And that's, again, going back to the letting agents, they're a big part of what we do. Letting agents, we know that conversation, so that when the landlord emails or phones to say, you've been great for a number of years, but the time has come, we're going to sell. Yeah,
exactly. I'm thinking through that relationship there. Right, okay.
Then sometimes the landlord that's selling will say, can you help me in any way? And again, some letting agents will already sell properties, and they should obviously help the landlord sell it if that's what the landlord wants to do. But if they don't do sales and they're sticking just to doing lettings and focusing on that, then we're a great partner for them. Somebody that they can trust, and they will say, well, we don't do it, but we know a company called Portolio, and you can have a chat with them, and at least you can discuss that option.
See what the options are,
if it suits you. I mean, our goal at Portolio is just to get the landlord the best sale price possible. No different from any other estate agent. There's nothing, There's nothing hugely clever going on there, except we're doing it on the open markets, but we can do that because the way that we are able to communicate with the tenants and just make sure that the process is really smooth and everyone's well communicated with. But we're also realistic, of course, as well. If we're going to be selling it to a property investor, we know the property investor is not going to get emotional about it and be paying 10 necessarily, maybe 10, 12% or whatever above for the home report value. It all depends where the property is, and
that's
and,
right.
And what
there's
the
some unique ones, obviously.
Exactly. And there's sometimes I'll have a conversation with a landlord who's looking to sell, and I'll say, well, sadly, I think maybe ending the tenancy is your best option, because you know, selling a vacant property would get you the better opportunity to get the better sale price.
They're widening that market to more and more buyers.
That's right, a different kind of buyer, more and more
which
buyers.
are emotional, obviously. Right,
exactly.
So that can sometimes happen.
It's a very balanced conversation I have with the landlord. I just want them to make that decision themselves. What we'd say, obviously, is things like, if you sell with the sitting tenant through Portolio, the process can start now. Like pretty much, you know, end of next week, and we can have the home report and property be on the market. You can sell the property as is, so you're not having to spend any money on the property. You have no doubts about it.
That's a big problem when the landlord does take that moment to say, I'm going to sell up and I'm going to sell this one. Then that's not the end of it. You know, it's, right, okay, I've got a tenant in there, so I have to go through that process of removing them and doing it nicely, obviously. And then, oh God, look at the property now. Is that needing a new kitchen now? Is this needing such and such? You can remove all of that in one go.
All the unknowns and the risks. It de-risks it a lot to sell with the tenant still sitting there. Again, before that decision's made, I'll have done some research into what potential value will be put on the property by a surveyor, and what potential sale price we can get. And again, we are competitive with vacant properties because of the way that we do it. But it's a very balanced conversation, and if the landlord wants to do it, then yes, it all happens, and it's all guns blazing, and when we kick on from there. We'll speak, if it's managed by a letting agent, if the referrals come from the letting agent, then obviously that's there already. If it's not, then they were introduced to the letting agent, and we just collect all the data and everything that we need. We make sure the tenants are communicated well with, and then, you know, we'll go and get the survey done. And the tenants are generally speaking really supportive.
So that was the one I was interested in, really, of course, because there's a few relationships there. You're dealing, first of all, with the landlord who, you know, is coming to you or referred to you. That makes sense. That's a no-brainer for them. You can really solve 1,000 problems for them.
They get continual rental income right up to the date of completion.
Exactly. You know, no void, no mad refurb plans, etc. You know, and it drags on for months and months to get it, you know, nice to be on the market. That makes perfect sense. The next one that could have some trickiness in it is the letting agent, obviously, because they're hearing, oh, well, one of my landlords wants to sell. Oh, wait a minute. But most of the time, are you keeping them in place anyway? Do you find that happens when the next investor comes in and buys? Are they actually more happy just to keep it going that way? How do you find that statistics-wise?
Statistics-wise, it's about 45% of the properties we sell stay with the letting agent that either referred it to us or currently manage it.
Right.
In August last year, we had 100%.
Really?
Yeah. So
wow.
I think we sold 6 or 7 in that month, and every single one of those properties stayed with the letting agent that was already managing it. So that was really cool.
Right.
Because I say it's really cool because you know, as ex-letting agents, we know the value of a landlord and a managed property. So we do. There's not a lot we can really do to manage that process.
Force a hand there.
We're looking at ways of maybe guaranteeing the current letting agent the opportunity to pitch to the new landlord. But we need to look at our systems for that.
I suppose if you think about it from the investor coming in as well, it might be the case that they have their own landlord, they have that power team, and
they already have.
They
a letting
want to
agent.
keep that.
A lot of them do.
You can understand that part
of the puzzle.
A lot of them
do. I mean, our principal person in it is the landlord that we're working for to sell their property.
Yes. Yeah.
We are conscious of everyone else around it, the current letting agent and so on and so forth. But our focus is on just getting the best price we can for the landlord. And if the property stays with the agent that currently manages, then great. It's a real bonus. Yeah, we're really chuffed. I mean,
And the last one in there, the one right in the middle, which could be really emotional, is the tenant, of course. When they first get to hear, the landlord's selling up and stuff, is it okay? Are you kind of reassuring them? Listen, everything's going to carry on. We're actually here to kind of continue that. Does it work well?
Works well.
Yeah,
it works well. We can't. I mean, tenants are sensible, normal people, and of course, and they'll be a bit unsettled by it.
Yeah.
But the goal is to sell it to another property investor.
Yeah.
And their tenancy shouldn't be affected. There's a blog that we just put onto our website, which surrounds this the idea of what happens to the tenancy agreement.
Right.
Whether it be a PRT or whether it be a SAT lease.
One of the old,
the short assured tenancy ones.
Yep.
And broadly speaking, there's not really anything has to happen to it, which seems quite amazing.
Yeah, I know. With all the regulations these
exactly.
days,
You would think,
goodness.
But you would expect maybe a minute of variation to be sent by the new landlord or the new letting agent. But that's just a little bit of paperwork to be done.
Yeah.
But the tenants. Day to day, whatever, shouldn't be
no,
affected.
Exactly. I mean, I'm trying to put myself in their position, and there will be that instant fear as soon as they hear the landlord's, and that means I'm out. But then the next line is, no, we're actually looking to say, all right, okay.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a nice balance.
And they're quite motivated to help.
Yeah,
because,
totally, exactly.
Potentially the property will be viewed to their new landlord.
Yep.
So they want to get off on a good foot. So they are. No, they're good, and we're very sensitive to it. That it's. It might be the landlord's property, but it's the tenant's home.
Yes, correct.
And,
it's humans, it's families, the young kids,
especially when
everything
it's
all lined up.
Especially when it's families. And there's younger sort of couple or whatever, then they can be a bit more sort of mobile, I guess. But kids and schools and moving location and things like that, I mean, it's not easy. So
no.
Yeah, we have to be sensitive to it, but we can't sort of kid them on either, because it's happening. You know, that we've been instructed to sell the property. And again, going back to stats, it's probably about 97% or something of properties we sell are sold to property investors.
Right.
But there's this 3% that we call the savvy home buyer.
Right. Tell me more.
So very occasionally the property will be sold to somebody who's going to live in it.
Really?
Yeah. But it is very occasionally. But again, working for the landlord, our goal is to just do the best by them. And sometimes you'll see somebody might see the property and go, well, it is where I want to live, and it is the kind of property I want, and I can sort of see past the fact it's tenanted, and they go and view the property and they're like, yeah, I want it, and they make their offer subject to getting vacant possession.
Do they? Right, okay.
And then some missives are carried out until the point where everybody's comfortable, and then potentially notice is served on the tenant to end the tenancy, so that the new owner who's going to live in it gets vacant possession.
Right.
But that's very rare, but I wouldn't like to say it never happens.
It does, there's a potential.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So if we're a landlord listening in just now, we know we want to kind of move on from some, or cash in some. We've got different plans with our business and stuff. How do we do the approach? Is it to get in touch with, obviously the links that are in the show notes for people? Once they make that connection with you, do you then just get in touch? Is there a form they fill in? Is there a set process they go through?
We have a 5-step proven process.
Right.
The Portolio way.
The Portolio. Oh, here we go.
I know.
I love it.
We have somebody who helps us with our marketing, so I'm told to say these things.
Brilliant.
But it is quite clear. But initially, it's a very informal chat.
Right.
And it's myself that always speaks to the
that.
landlords in that early stage, and I'm actually very keen to know what the landlord that's thinking of selling, what their goal is, why they're thinking of selling.
Right.
Because I'm probably more interested in people than property.
Is that right?
Thankfully, Ross is maybe. No, we're very sort of people-orientated company.
Yeah.
So talking to the landlord, why do you want to sell? And a lot of people that I'm speaking to when I'm out and about, they'll say, is everybody selling because of Section 24? Is everybody selling because of the PRT lease? Is everybody, it's not really normally that kind of stuff. It's just real life things. It's to release the equity. It's like, I've got money tied up in that flat, 20, 30, 50, 70 grand. Maybe some people are sort of re-gearing their portfolio, and that's linked to Section 24 potentially, various reasons.
Yep.
But ultimately, it's always, the need to release the equity in that property. And one that's very common is just buying a new house. I want to buy a new family home.
See, there we
and
go.
so I want to get the cash out of this so I can
investments.
go and do that. Or sometimes it's, there was one landlord looking to open a new garage, and so he wants to take money and put that into a different business. And so it's our job then to help them achieve that goal. And to get them the price that's needed for that to happen.
Right.
But as part of that conversation, I'm interested to know what other options they've thought about to achieve that goal, but also the property, what the rent is X, if it was more, which there may not be any room for it to be more, but or if you looked at your mortgage, it's just examining the full picture before we say, yes, give us your business.
There you go.
So it's just that balanced, approach, looking at the whole picture.
Yeah.
But usually, I have to say, we do get the instruction, and so from that point, if they're using a letting agent, which most are, certainly you find that most landlords that have properties in cities have letting agents. Those that are not in cities tend to self-manage more.
Really? Is that the split you're seeing, is it?
The split, So we're trying to get all these stats. And we actually did a full report into the Scottish private rented sector. We hired somebody to do it.
Right.
It's a really, really big undertaking, and we got funding from Scottish Enterprise because, we're an estate agent, and we are obviously trying to make a living from it, but we're trying to be at the forefront of good things that happen.
Yep.
Just that we haven't managed to quite do anything with this report yet because there's not enough hours in the day. But we're looking to share that, share as much information on city by city and what's happening with landlords. But anyway, getting back to it, we'll communicate with the letting agent, we'll communicate with the tenants, we'll organise the home report, then we'll get the property on the open market. Ross will go in and he'll take proper marketing photos.
He'll do that.
Just because it's tenanted doesn't mean we can't make the flat or house look great.
Yeah.
Everything is done just the way as it should be done. We'll put it on Zoopla, on the market, I think it's on Prime Location as well, and of course on our own website.
Yes.
And we get that sent out to over 1,000 property investors.
Right.
So this is the next property. The current rent's there, the market rent's there, the gross yields there. Again, all the safety stuff, all the information that people need is there. The home report's available, and then we show the property, we get offers accepted. We then keep an eye on things during the missives, because a lot of solicitors don't quite get this tenanted property transaction.
What do you mean there's someone in there? What?
Yeah, not vacant possession then, no. But and also lenders as well. So talking to the buyer, you just have to make sure that they have kept all the people involved.
So that they know the full story, right?
You know, like, it's just the worst if you hear sort of weeks before it's meant to complete or days before it's meant to complete. I thought it was vacant. The mortgage product I've got is for vacant, you know, and like, no. So we know that hasn't happened really for a long time, because we make sure that we're communicating all these things. Just
You're right in the middle of everything, aren't you?
Yeah,
all those people involved.
Yeah. Like any estate agent, but just this is even more the case.
It really
it's
is.
New.
Yeah. That's fantastic. Absolutely. But I tell you, got a lot of work there, dearie me. And the people who are watching on the other side who are looking for those places, they should, go to your kind of portal, look at them there, get added. You've got a mailing list as well, as you said. They can see all the deals as they come through.
Portolio.co.uk. It's a bit of a Google nightmare. Those that do try and type it in. With it.
Make sure you use the links. Don't try and do it yourself.
Use the links. And for them, it's rented property, pre-tenanted property. It's instant rental income. I mean, what I think is it maximises cash flow.
Yep.
Because you're paying around about the home report value. That's normally the way it is. So you're not having to spend any offers over stuff.
Exactly.
Or not much, and you don't have to spend anything on all the safety tests when you get the property.
That's it. All those
or the remedial, because there isn't
Yeah.
any remedial, and you often get the furniture as well. It's often
fantastic.
a furnished property, and you get the furniture, and then you get instant rental income. So in terms of cash flow, it's absolutely brilliant, and also minimises risk too. So it's I think property investors will if they're building a portfolio, they'll maybe want one or two in there where they get an absolute bargain, and I get that, and we're a company that really encourages people to create wealth through property and financial freedom. I think that's the best thing. I think property is so good for that, of course, and that's you guys talk about that all the time.
Yeah.
But I suppose I would say that we feel at Portolio that success shouldn't be at somebody else's expense.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, spread this win.
I mean, the landlord that's selling, I mentioned real life goals. They're trying to achieve something in life as well.
Yep.
And they should get the fair price for the property. So we talk about fair price and good price and such. And so we want it to be the buyer gets the property and they're happy with the price they paid for it. It's the right price. It's a good price. And that's the price that also satisfies the landlord's goals as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So we usually sell just about all of our properties are fixed price.
Are they?
That helps the investor save a bit of time, do their numbers and things. We don't do closing dates, and it's all
war.
I used to speak to so many property investors when I was doing sourcing, and it was like that. Missed out on this property, missed out on that property. Yeah,
especially when the market's in that place, and everybody's after it. Goodness,
exactly.
When am I going to get my first one? This is terrible. Yeah.
I mean, if I look at a property that's in an area where properties aren't moving very quickly, and there is already properties that are being advertised at £10,000 below home report value, then I'm realistic, and that's the conversation I'll have with the landlord. I say, we probably just have to do the same. But we actually find that even though it's almost like a like for like thing, we're not doing anything majorly different. The big difference is that a property investor is getting the instant rental income. Yeah. So it actually would sell better with the tenant in it than without the tenant in it in that case, even though it's a smaller market that you're addressing. Yeah. So I'm not sure if that's answered any of your questions, but we take it right through to the completion of sale. As a company, Portolio, we don't have any upfront fees. Right. We don't charge any upfront fees to the landlord. Okay. Because we know that they've got enough going on at that time. They do have to pay for the home report, so depending on the value of the property, that can range from whatever £300 up to £700 or £800, I suppose. Yeah, and they'll cover any gaps that you've found for them. Oh, by the way, you're missing, the gas safety, or that'll already be done. We wouldn't instruct the home report. We wouldn't instruct the home report until we've sort of had that conversation and made sure everything's a-okay in that regard. So we get the home report, and the seller the landlord that's selling has to pay for that.
Yep.
But that's the only cost. And the first thing that we'll charge is 170 quid plus VAT once the sale agrees.
Right.
And then we have our estate agency fee, which is not charged right until the end when the sale completes.
The very end of the process, yeah. That's brilliant. It's an amazing service, and I love the story of how it got to that place. You know, I love the way you've went through all those different moments, the inspiration, the problem solving, etc., and then you're now in this position, doing what you love, working with Ross, you know, building this team, building this expansion across the whole of Scotland, as you say, and then so many people are getting served, and you're right in the centre of all of these different relationships and connections, and just making sure everybody's okay and they're in the loop and communicated. It's absolutely fantastic. Where do we go forward? What's the plans for the future?
We would probably like to recruit some agents in different areas of Scotland.
Right.
Glasgow would probably be the first one.
Right.
We've got a few properties for sale in Glasgow, and that's great. We would do quite a lot in Dundee and some in Aberdeen, some in Edinburgh, and some of the areas in between. So it's probably just managing the structure of the building, business.
The actual business
building
itself.
the business and how it's structured. You know, it's the scaling
Yeah,
issue. So
because you've got the processes.
How do you scale it? Yeah,
just scale the thing.
What we want to do is get some time to look at the process from start to finish, and we may introduce some tech, some prop tech into it.
Excellent.
So we'll look at a few things like that about how we can scale the business. But I think that you know, we feel very strong in our values. We feel very strong in what we're doing.
Yeah.
We can definitely improve some of the bits that we're doing. I think any company, we'll always look to improve.
Always learning.
What I'm doing just now is I'm really enjoying going back and speaking to some of the customers the landlords and the buyers that we helped last year. So I'm starting to ask more questions about not so much about how we were as a company, but more just what led them to coming to us and by selling their property, what's it now led to? And this is just the kind of real life stuff, I suppose.
I love it.
So just we now have all this evidence of having helped people and the successes that we've had. So it's about that. We've got the new website coming out in about 2 weeks' time.
Tremendous.
Because the website that we've got is really the one that was, from 2 or 3 years ago. Yeah, from the original idea, which is not fit for purpose. Well, it is, it's fine, but it doesn't. Somebody said, I went on your website, didn't say anything of what you've just told me. I was like, I know.
We do so much more.
So, but I think by the time this is released,
yes, when this show comes out, you should be looking at the new site.
So just FYI, it will be the new site that you'll see. And we've been creating lots of marketing assets, and we've never done any marketing really.
No.
So it's all just been through games of golf and beer and coffee and the network that we've got and things like that. We're going to now do some proper marketing, and we're just going to look for 2020 to consolidate and grow. Yeah.
I love it, absolutely love it. There you go. I'm sure that was of interest to you. I love that conversation, love the whole story behind it, and the services you've heard is just fantastic for so many people involved. So make sure you check out the show notes, go into all the links, hook in with Chris and Ross, go to the new website, see what's there, whether you're the landlord, you're the investor, whatever, get onto their mailing list, etc. Have a wee look through the blog and all the articles and stuff. There's a lot there for you to chew upon and get in touch with the guys. Chris, for today, thank you very much indeed. That was fantastic.
Yeah, enjoyed it.
Thank you. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's show as much as I did. Remember, with the guests that you just saw, go into the show notes for the page because all of their links are there so that you can get in touch and to get more information. And talking about getting more information, more guests, more insights, more knowledge, etc., make sure you're subscribed. Get the subscription done, get the notifications on, and then we'll always keep in touch with you every single time a brand new show is going to come out. So thanks for tuning to This Week in Property.